To pull the item analysis report from SchoolNet, select Classrooms, and then from the drop-down select Student Performance. Make sure your school name and teacher name are correct, and then you'll have to decide whether you want to pull all sections or a specific period or classroom. Make sure all this other information is correct, in particular the assessment that you'd like to pull. Leave Order By as item number. It should default to this. If it hasn't, go ahead and select item number now. Find the Export button at the top of the page, click it, and from the drop-down, select Export to Spreadsheet. It may automatically export the Excel spreadsheet. If so, you'll find it in this tray at the bottom of your screen, just above the Microsoft toolbar. It may ask you to save it. Go ahead and name it, save it then. Then go ahead and click it and open up the Excel file. A message will pop up telling you that it could be corrupted or unsafe. Go ahead and open it anyway. Click Yes. Right away, click Enable Editing, and then go ahead and save it. It will ask if you'd like to save it as a web page. Go ahead and select Excel file. Give it a name. So this is what your spreadsheet should look like when it comes out of SchoolNet. I haven't made any changes other than I took out the student names and I replaced them with student 1, 2, and so on. So the first thing we want to do to organize this sheet a little bit is to shrink the columns, and then we're going to center the data horizontally and vertically. So if you'll click column header for column C, so that it's highlighted, and then hold it and drag across to your final item. And once everything's highlighted, all of your data is highlighted, then you can mouse over between two columns, that line between two columns, and you'll see this icon appear. And you can click and hold and drag in. Pinch the columns in, and they'll all come with it. And then you can center horizontally and vertically. And the next thing we're going to do, while this is all still highlighted, we're going to sort across rows. So click Sort and Filter, Custom Sort. You're going to go to Options and make sure you've got selected Sort Left to Right, so that we'll sort by rows and not columns. Hit OK. Now we want to sort by the standard ID first. So that's row 6. So we're going to sort by row 6 first. And then we'll add a level. And next we're going to sort by the district-wide % correct, which would be row 5. You can select school-wide % correct or section-wide if you prefer. I'm just going to do district-wide. Go ahead and hit OK. Now the data's in here as text right now, so it's going to ask if we should sort anything that looks like a number as a number. So definitely make sure that top selection that you have that picked. So hit OK, and it'll sort it for us. And now we're going to replace the standard ID is a little bloated. It's got some extra language in it. Just to neaten this up, we're going to replace this standard ID. So all you're going to do is pop in the part of the standard ID that you don't want to see in any of these anymore, which in this case is CCS.ELA-literacy. It's got to be identical. We're going to replace it with nothing so that it just kind of wipes it out. We'll hit Replace All, and it'll disappear. Now finally, we're going to delete any unnecessary rows. So we have the item is identified in row 10, so we're going to get rid of this row. I just click on the column header or the row header to highlight it all, and then right click and hit delete. And I do the same for region-wide % correct, because there isn't one. And point value, they're all worth 1. It just seems to get in the way. Now obviously all of this is unnecessary. If it doesn't bother you, then just keep it. And now I'll delete this blank line above the item line. Now that our data is organized, there are a few changes we can make to make it a little more readable or a little prettier. So the first thing we'll do is we'll put borders around all of our cells here. So if you'll click and hold the top left corner and then drag down across all of your data. Hold and drag across all of your cells that have data in it or have any text in it. And then you'll find this borders button and select all borders. Just notice this total score column isn't centered. I'm going to do that right now. Now we'll do the same thing with our answer choices. Let's select the top left cell that has an answer choice in it, and we'll drag across and we'll bold those. They'll just stand out a little bit more. I like to increase the font size, so we can click this triangle in the corner here. That'll select everything on the page, and we'll just increase the font size to 14. We have our standards grouped together, and I'd like that to stand out a little more. So what we'll do is, within this standard group, we'll click the top left box or cell, and we'll drag and hold down to the bottom to our last student, and then go ahead and select the border button again, and then find thick outside borders. Click that. And that just makes this group of standards stand out a little bit more. And we can do the same across the sheet. Now finally, I don't know if this green triangle in the corner of these boxes bothers you, if it bothers you that this has been stored as text. It does me, so I'm going to click column B, the header, highlight all the way across to my final cell here, and then this box here that's yellow diamond, you can click it and it'll give you a selection to convert to number. Now I want the decimal point out of there, so I'm just going to click this button here. It says decrease decimal, and it'll bring me down to a whole number. A final little trick to make this information really stand out would be to add some conditional formatting. So we have all of these cells already highlighted. If you don't, then go ahead and highlight them. Find this conditional formatting button, click that, and then click highlight cell rules or hover over it, and then down to equal to. Now you're going to select any of the cells that have a correct answer choice or a green check mark in it, and then I change it to from light red fill to green fill with dark green text. Hit OK. The last thing we'll do is change the print settings. If you wanted to print this, there's a trick to it that'll make it a lot easier to print. So go ahead into your print settings. I'm just going to save it as print to PDF now. That won't make a difference, but you make sure you find the printer you like to use. Now, portrait orientation, we're going to pick landscape. Letter, we'll pick legal. If you have an option to do tabloid on your printer, you might want to try it depending on how many kids you have in your class. Otherwise, select legal. Custom margins, we'll select narrow. And then scaling, we're going to say fit sheet on one page. Okay. Now make sure if you wanted to print in color, if that's an option, that you go to your advanced settings to set that up. Otherwise, now we're taking up about half this page, so what we'll want to do is spread this thing out a little bit. So I'm going to click and highlight row 7, hold and drag to my final student, and we're going to spread these rows out a little bit. Going to center those. Let's go back and see what happened to our print settings. Now it's spread across the page a bit more. So you could always spread it a little further, or you could narrow these columns a bit more if you'd like. And because you have a fit sheet on one page, you're going to find a way to kind of really fit that perfectly.